Ever get that feeling like history is like hanging by a thread?
Mm-hmm.
Today's deep dive is going to explore that idea.
Okay.
The contingency of everything.
Interesting.
We're looking at chapter 9 of this book, and it really makes you think differently about how, like, random events and even individuals can just totally change history and, like, the progress of science.
It really challenges how we think about cause and effect,
Right.
We always think these big events have these big causes.
Right.
But this chapter's saying even little tiny things can have a huge impact.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
And right away, this chapter just throws this wild idea out there.
What's that?
It says that just by reading these words, you've already changed the world.
Right.
It talks about how our brains are always adapting.
Yeah.
So even like the tiniest actions can set off this chain reaction.
It's like that butterfly effect.
Totally.
But like on the level of like just existing.
Yeah.
The book uses this example of like conception.
Okay.
Like think about all the factors that go into the exact moment a child is conceived.
Right.
You change even just one tiny thing.
Yeah.
And you get a completely different person.
Right.
A totally different life.
Wow.
Totally different impact on the world.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah.
It's like a huge what-if game.
Right.
And then the book takes it even further.
Okay.
It reminds us that we each won this race against like millions of other sperm.
Oh, wow.
Just to be here?
Yeah.
Like that saying about being 1 in a million,
right?
It's not just a saying.
Yeah.
It's actually true.
That's amazing.
So we're all this 1 in a million.
But then we feel like these tiny cogs in this huge machine.
Especially now with all these big systems and institutions.
Yeah, like you get lost.
It's easy to just feel so insignificant.
Yeah, you lose sight of like your own impact.
Exactly.
So this chapter wants us to challenge that feeling.
Yep.
Think that cog in the machine feeling.
Right.
It says even our thoughts. Which seems so like internal and private.
Yeah.
They have ripple effects on the world around us.
Interesting.
Like it brings up this thought experiment.
Okay.
There's actually a poll.
Oh, wow.
In the New York Times.
Okay.
It asked if you could go back in time and kill Hitler as a baby.
Whoa.
Would you do it?
That's heavy.
This baby Hitler thing sparked this huge debate.
Yeah.
And the chapter uses that to show how what we believe about individual impact shapes our moral judgments.
I see.
42% of people said yes.
Wow.
They would kill baby Hitler.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, they saw it as this like simple way to save millions of lives.
Right. But it brings up so many questions about how history actually works. Like, was Hitler really essential to the horrors of World War II?
Right.
Or were there like larger forces already in motion?
Like would getting rid of him have actually changed anything?
Right.
Or would someone else have just stepped in and done the same things?
It's a tough question.
It is.
This gets into that whole debate about great men versus historical trends.
Right.
So on the one hand, you have the theory that these powerful individuals, like Napoleon or Steve Jobs, they drive change because of their personalities and their decisions.
Right. They're like the movers and shakers.
Exactly.
But then there's the other side that says individuals are like replaceable, ultimately.
Okay.
That these bigger social and economic forces are what really determine history's direction.
Like a tide that lifts all boats.
That's a good way to put it.
Whether you're on board or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. So thinkers like Tolstoy, Marx, the Anna School of History, they all fall into this camp.
Yeah, they see history as more like predictable, like this unfolding of trends and dynamics.
But even with all these trends, individuals can still disrupt the expected patterns.
That's right.
The book uses this analogy I love.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine a checkerboard, perfectly ordered, and then there's this flea hopping around on it.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
The flea's movements seem random, but they can still mess up that predictable pattern of the board.
Totally disrupt it.
And the chapter brings up a really relevant example.
Like what?
Donald Trump's presidency.
Oh, wow.
Whether you love him or hate him, it's undeniable that his personality and decisions had this massive impact on politics.
No one can argue with that.
It shows how one person can reshape things even within this larger system.
So it's not always these big leaders that make the biggest impact.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's these tiny events that have huge consequences.
Like that story about the American Civil War and the three cigars.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like a movie.
It does.
So it's 1862.
Okay.
The Civil War is raging.
Uh-huh.
And this Union soldier,
Yeah.
Corporal Barton Mitchell,
Okay.
he's resting under a tree, and he finds this sheet of paper wrapped around 3 cigars.
Interesting.
It turns out...
What is it?
It's the Confederate Army's marching orders.
Oh.
Lost by a courier.
Wow.
Pure chance.
Totally random.
And it wasn't just any soldier who found them.
Right.
It was Colonel Samuel Pittman.
Okay.
Who recognized the signature on the orders because he'd worked with the guy before the war.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
What are the chances?
It's crazy.
So this random discovery, combined with Pittman's knowledge, gave the Union Army this crucial intelligence that probably helped them win the Battle of Antietam.
And that was a big one.
A lot of historians think this victory gave Lincoln the confidence
to issue the Emancipation Proclamation.
Which changed everything.
Which changed the whole war and the future of America.
It's amazing to think that the fate of nations could depend on something as small as a few lost cigars.
It really makes you think about all these little moments that might have shaped history without us even realizing it.
It highlights this thing the book calls the Cassandra problem. Cassandra, the woman from Greek mythology, who could see the future, but was cursed, so no one would believe her.
So how does this ancient myth connect to how random events shape history?
Well, it shows how we tend to judge information based on who's saying it rather than what's actually being said.
We dismiss things just because they come from someone we don't see as credible.
Yeah, we all do it.
Think about it.
Yeah.
We make snap judgments about people.
Like based on their clothes, their job title, even as that Darwin story showed us your nose.
It's true.
We're constantly making these unconscious judgments about who to trust and who to ignore.
It's like our brains have these shortcuts called schemas that help us categorize information fast.
Yeah.
But they can also make us biased.
So we might ignore someone's ideas just because they're from a certain political party or have a certain job.
Exactly.
Without even thinking about if their argument is good or not.
And the book has this real-life example of this.
Okay, what is it?
Charles Colchester.
Okay.
This clairvoyant who tried to warn Lincoln.
About what?
About the assassination plot.
Oh, wow.
He was close to John Wilkes Booth.
Okay.
So he probably had inside information. But Lincoln, he probably dismissed Colchester.
Yeah.
Based on his appearance or profession.
So Lincoln was warned, but he didn't believe the messenger, and it cost him his life.
It's chilling.
That's a powerful example.
It is.
Of how judging the source and not the message can have terrible consequences.
It really makes you wonder how much important information we miss out on every day.
Because of our biases.
Because of our biases.
Maybe we should all try to be a little more open. To hearing different viewpoints, even from unexpected sources.
Even from people we wouldn't normally listen to.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
It's unsettling to think like how much our own judgments and biases can like shape the course of events, even on a historical scale.
Right.
But what about in our own lives?
Yeah, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Think about all those little choices you make every day.
Like what?
Like what you eat for breakfast.
Okay.
Which way you drive to work. Do you say hi to that stranger or not?
Yeah.
Every single one sets off this chain of events, shaping not just your day, but maybe your whole future.
It's like we're choosing our own adventure.
Totally.
Except in real life, you can't go back.
Right.
And pick a different path.
And along those paths, we meet all these other people with their own experiences and perspectives. And that changes our journey even more. Our lives are just this web of connections and interactions. And so many of them happen totally by chance.
So true.
Think about your closest friends.
Okay.
Your mentors. Your partner. How did those relationships start?
It's funny you say that. Like if I hadn't run into my best friend at that coffee shop years ago or stumbled on that random article that led to my career, my life would be completely different.
It's amazing.
It makes you think about all those what ifs.
It's almost dizzying.
It is.
Like those unplanned moments that often have the biggest impact.
You're so right.
They open us up to new ideas, challenge our views, lead us down paths we couldn't have imagined.
Maybe we shouldn't be so afraid of the unexpected.
Instead of trying to control everything.
Yeah.
Maybe we should be more open to those surprises.
Those nudges from the universe.
Exactly.
But that doesn't mean we should just give up and say everything is random.
No, of course not.
So if everything is so contingent, why even bother setting goals?
That's a good question.
Making plans, working towards anything.
Well, that's where the balance comes in.
Okay.
Between awareness and action.
Okay, I like that.
We can't control every little thing.
Right.
But we can make choices that match our values and goals.
So find that sweet spot between acknowledging chance and taking responsibility.
It's not about obsessing over every decision, but being mindful about the choices we make and how they might affect things.
Not just ourselves, but other people too.
And that includes being open to new experiences, stepping outside our comfort zone, talking to people who are different from us.
Right.
You never know when a random encounter or a surprise opportunity might take you on a whole new path.
We have to find that balance between trusting our gut and being open to new possibilities, even if they take us in a totally different direction.
Exactly.
But if expertise is so important, as the chapter says, doesn't that kind of contradict this whole idea of contingency?
The chapter actually talks about that.
Okay.
It says expertise and knowledge are still super important.
Okay.
Because they give us the tools, the frameworks, the understanding we need to navigate the world.
Makes sense.
But even with expertise, there's always going to be those random things.
Those curveballs.
Yeah, the stuff we can't predict or control.
So it's not that expertise doesn't matter.
Right.
It's that contingency.
It adds this element of unpredictability.
Even when you're an expert.
Think back to those Civil War cigars.
Okay.
Even the best military strategists couldn't have predicted that a few lost cigars would lead to Union victory and the Emancipation Proclamation.
Expertise is like the map.
Okay.
But contingency is the terrain.
I like that.
You need both to get where you're going.
Exactly.
But how do we reconcile these two ideas?
Yeah.
Should we lean on our expertise?
Well,
or just surrender to fate?
It's about embracing both.
Okay.
Develop expertise in your field. Learn as much as you can.
Right.
But stay humble.
Okay.
Know that there are things we can't know.
Right.
Things we can't predict.
So find that balance between confidence and openness. This reminds me of that whole debate about whether scientific progress is linear or not.
Right. Contingency throws a wrench in that idea.
Because we tend to think of progress as this straight line, this steady march toward a goal. But if chance plays such a big role, maybe it's more like a winding path.
It's a good way to say it.
With detours and sudden turns.
It's less like climbing a ladder.
Okay.
And more like going through a maze.
I like that.
You might have a general direction.
Yeah.
But the path is full of twists and turns.
Right.
And sometimes you got to get lost to find your way.
But doesn't that make progress seem so random?
Well, that's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Contingency might challenge our ideas about predictability, but it can also spark creativity and innovation.
Oh, so?
Well, when we're forced off the expected path, we have to improvise.
Right.
We have to adapt. And that's when we come up with new solutions, new perspectives, new ways to approach problems.
That we wouldn't have thought of if we had stuck to the plan.
So contingency makes us more intellectually agile.
Or flexible in our thinking.
Yeah. Think outside the box.
Right.
See the unexpected as an opportunity.
Not as a setback.
Right.
It's not about giving up on progress.
Nah.
It's about redefining what progress looks like.
Exactly.
It's about embracing the journey with all its twists and turns and knowing that even detours can lead to breakthroughs.
It's a great way to look at it.
Instead of getting anxious about all the things I can't control, I'm starting to see a potential for growth in the unexpected.
That's the spirit.
But doesn't this also highlight
What's that?
How interconnected we all are?
Absolutely.
If every choice, every action has ripple effects.
It means we're all part of this web of influence.
We're constantly shaping the world and being shaped by it.
It's like we're all part of this giant tapestry.
Right.
And our actions, no matter how small, they send out these vibrations.
That affect the whole system.
Exactly.
It's a powerful realization.
It is.
It makes you want to act with more intention.
More mindfully.
Knowing that our choices can create these ripple effects.
Positive or negative.
That go way beyond our immediate circle.
It's not just about recognizing our own impact. It's about understanding that we're all in this together.
We are.
And that can make us feel more responsible, more empathetic, more compassionate.
It makes you want to treat others with more kindness and respect.
Knowing that our actions can have big consequences.
Both good and bad.
So contingency, it might be humbling, but it's ultimately empowering.
I like that.
It reminds us that even with all the uncertainty, we each have a role to play in making a better future.
Not just for ourselves, but for everyone. It's crazy to think that like something as simple as bumping into someone or just making a small choice can have these huge ripple effects. It makes you really see how everything's connected.
It does.
And how we all play a part.
It's humbling.
It is.
To think that even with all the chaos, there's this underlying order. This balance between chance and choice.
It's making me think about legacy.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if our actions have these big consequences, what kind of impact do we want to have? What mark do we want to leave?
That's a big question.
It is.
And it gets to like the deepest part of this whole contingency thing. We're all kind of like co-authors of this giant story.
Of human existence.
Exactly.
We might not control every plot twist. But we all contribute.
We're writing our own chapters.
I like that.
In this big book of life.
And each chapter is connected to the others.
They're all intertwined.
It's not just about those big dramatic moments either.
No, it's about the small things too. Those everyday acts of kindness, courage, creativity.
They all come together to create something amazing.
Think about those little moments in your own life that turned out to be really important.
Like what?
Like a kind word from someone, a book that changed how you think, a chance meeting that led to a friendship.
Those things might have seemed random at the time, but they became part of your story.
They shaped who you are.
And now thinking about contingency, it makes you wonder how many other lives were touched by those same moments.
Like how many other stories were influenced by our choices.
By the things we said and did.
Yeah, even if we don't realize it.
It's a beautiful thought.
It is.
It makes you realize we're all connected.
In this web of cause and effect.
Constantly shaping and being shaped by the world.
It makes you want to live differently.
More intentionally. More mindfully.
Knowing that even the smallest thing can have a ripple effect.
That goes way beyond us.
And it reminds us that even when things feel uncertain, we can still make a difference.
We can choose to be kind. To be compassionate.
To be a force for good.
I love
this whole idea of contingency.
It has been a journey.
It is.
From history to our own lives.
It challenged our assumptions.
It did.
Made us curious.
And left us with a sense of wonder.
And possibility.
And as we wrap up, we want you to think about how contingency has shaped your life.
What seemingly small moments have had a big impact on you.
And what kind of ripples do you want to create in the world?
How will you use this understanding to live a more meaningful life?
We hope this conversation has helped you.
To embrace the unexpected. Find beauty in the unknown. And see the potential in all of us.
Until next time.
Keep exploring.
Keep